Rabbi Say, we are sponsored by A.B. Spry for Toiba Reiza Bas Hinda and Zivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. We are also sponsored by Shelley Zeitlin, L'Refuah Shalema for myself, my Shemer ben Esther Fradel, and for Shimon ben Sarah Miriam, and for the schus of Eli, Orit, and Ora. We also are sponsored anonymously, where is that? Yeah, for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel, Ben Beil, Shendel, Rivka. We start 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Tezayin Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Tezayin Amud Beis. Boy Rava, Tzarech Shehiyah L'Malkis or Ein Tzarech Shehiyah L'Malkis? If Barry becomes Tomei in the Azara, in the temple courtyard, does he have to wait there the amount of time to say the above pasuk in order to be, you see, I almost cheated you out of 3 lines of Gemara. You see what a crook I am. We're holding back Tana Rabbanan. Nobody caught me on that. Tana Rabbanan.
I saw that. I just didn't want to say anything.
Tana Rabbanan, thank you. Tana Rabbanan, 5 lines from the bottom of Tezayin Amud Beis. Tana Rabbanan, Keda Alapayim. The type of bowing called Keda is a acrobatic feat. It's an acrobatic feat which is accomplished by holding out your thumbs and going straight down on your thumbs, not bending the knees. Bathsheba went down, bowed down, with her face to the ground. Kriya al birkayim. Kriya is bending the knees. That's why Baruch is a lashon of berech, because we bend our knees by Baruch. V'cheinu aimem michroya al birkav, from bowing on the knees. Ishtachava, bowing down, zu pishat yodayim v'raglayim. This is prostrating yourself on the floor, spreading out your hands and your feet. V'chein ava aimer, and so did Yaakov say, Havo navo ani v'imecha v'achecha, can I, your mother, and your brothers go l'shtachava yislecha artza? Your mother isn't even alive anymore.
Do we do this when we in Yom Kippur? Do we do l'shtachava?
No, we don't spread out our hands and feet.
So why do we call l'shtachava?
Well, it's the ishtachava that we do outside of the temple. Boy Rava. Rava now inquires. Tzarech Shehiyah L'Malkis, getting back to Barry's shenanigans. If Barry becomes Tamei in the Mikdash, and we know that you get Malkis for that, does he have to be there the time to say the pasuk of V'chol b'nei Yisrael Rayim Beredis Ha'esh in order to get Malkus? Or ain't Tzarech Shehiyah L'Malkis? Or even if he waits a little bit, he gets Malkus. L'korban, to be chayev, a korban ayla b'yared, gemire, we have a tradition of Shia, but L'Malkus, but for flogging, like gemire Shia. I don't know, or perhaps we look at it the other way. B'fnim gemire Shia. Tuma on the inside, when you become tummy on the inside, there's a shear of waiting. Loishna lekarbon v'loishna lemalkus. Makes no difference with carbon or malkus. Teku tishbi ataretz kushas v'bayis. Eliyah Navi will need to reveal that. Boy Rava. Now this is something that you could see Barry doing. Tola atzmai ba'avir azara mahu. He becomes tamei, and he climbs up a post, and he suspends himself in the air, and he waits there the time of his tachavoya. But maybe it's only if you stay with the capability to bow down. Ki gemire shia debasa shtachava. It's only if you're on the ground and capable to bow down. The lav bas shtachava. But if it's a shia that's not doesn't have the potential to bow down because you can't do that in the ear, like Gemire. The shear is not dependent on being able to bow down. That's the shear that you're chayiv on the inside. It makes no difference whether you're capable to bow down. Again, take. Third question. By Ravashi. Time atzmai b'mezid mal. Here, Barry takes a toad and touches himself deliberately in the azar. Barry, I've told you this many times. Stop toading around. So as a matter of fact, when Barry became Gabbai of the Goodest Soul of Staten Island, I told him then that he should stop toading around. So he's going to say it never happened, but who are you going to believe, me or him? Barry, I still remember when I came to you about being Gabbai, you said I should be a Gabbai? Whoo! Barry
took the toad road.
Yeah.
Funny.
But Barry is a born Gabbai. I was one of my better picks. One of my better picks. By Ravashi. Time atzmai b'mezin mahu. If Barry contaminates himself deliberately, does he have to be there a shear of hishtachava, or because he did it deliberately, he's chayiv right away? Do we say that ba'oinus, if it happened accidentally, gemirei shia, b'mezid, but if he did it deliberately, like gemirei shia, there he's chayiv right away? And we're talking about malchus. There's no carbon for amazid, but we're talking about malchus. Oy dilma b'fnim gemirei shia, the shear of shia is anything on the inside. Loishna ba'inus, loishna b'mezid. It makes no difference if it's an inus. It makes no difference if it's deliberate. Again, teku. I don't know how the Gemara knew so much about Barry so many years ago. Now,
they're all teku l'maisa. What happens in such a case?
So in most of the time, like Marshall, by Mamonis, we can't be mitzi mammon. By Malchus, we won't give Malchus. So you'll get away with it. It's an amazing thing. Now,
Man, you don't have to ask me twice.
Now, if you're smart, you won't ask you once. Now, by Ravashi, Ravashi asks the following. Barry was a Nazir. Barry wanted to be by the oil. So he came in a Sheda Tevo Migdal, in a chest, a box, a closet, which he's allowed to do. And then it broke, so he fell down on the kever. So now, boy Sheila Malchus, I ain't tzarch. Do we say that even if he doesn't get out right away, he only gets Malchus if he stays there the shear of Shehiyah? Oh, ain't it tzarch. If he doesn't go out right away, we whack him. Do we say b'fnim gemirei shehira, that we only have this tradition of a zman of shehiyah, the time it takes to say the pasuk? That's something that goes on in the mikdash. B'chutz like gemirei shehiyah. And outside we don't have that shear. Oidilma ba'inus gemirei shehiyah. We learn it if there was an accident. Loishna b'fnim in the azara, v'loishna b'chutz if it's a shiloh with a nazir in the Beis HaKvaros. Teku tishbi taretz kushim zibais. You cannot say that Barry isn't versatile. He makes problems in the Azara, he makes problems in the cemetery. He's a all-around guy. Now, Boloi ba'arucha chayiv. If he goes out a long way, he's chayiv. B'ktsara, if he goes out the shortest route, then he's patur. What's he supposed to do? Now, says Rava, if he takes the short way, he could walk like a turtle. In other words, he could walk. Amar Rava Kitzarish Amru, the short way that we're talking about. Afilu Ekev B'tzad Gadol. Even if he walks, I don't know if you ever played, you should take 3 giant steps. And then you're supposed to say, Mother, may I? Right? Or 3 baby steps. So even if he goes out with baby steps, even if it takes him the whole day. Says the Gemara, Boy Rava, now in a related question, Boy Rava Shihia Ismao Shiyitztarfu. If let's say he takes his time, but it's not in one stretch. He pauses a moment here, he pauses a moment there, he pauses another moment there, and if you combine them, it's the shir to say the pasuk. So Maushi Yitztafu, do they combine? Says the Gemara, well, Rava said you could take the whole day to go out. So you see, it sounds like you could take the whole day to go out, even if you pause in between. V'tifshet le'mididei. Says the Gemara, no, Hasam b'deloi shah. There it's talking about where he didn't pause. He just walked like a turtle. If he was deep in the Azara, and he walks like a turtle, it could, if we had a bigger screen, Barry would, give a demonstration. But, he walks very slow. So now Abaya shifts gear. And Abaya asks Rabbah, what if he takes the long route, but he runs? He takes the long route, but he runs. So he gets out in the same amount of time as if he took the short route. Shir Gemire. Do we learn that there's an amount? And if he, let's say, it would take him, if he goes the shortest route, 3 minutes. He takes a longer route, but he runs, and it takes him 3 minutes. So is it a shir? And therefore, if he goes the long way, but he gets out in 3 minutes, butter. Oh, Dilma Dafka Gemire. No. You have to take the short route. If you take the long route, you're chayiv. Dafka Gemire, Barucha chayiv, B'ksara pater. Amalei, so surprise, we would think it's a shir in time. That's what we would think. The Gemara says, no. Amalei, Loi nidna arucha li'idachais etzlai. The ban against taking the long route was not given to push it away. You can't run out. So now Reb Zera has an interesting question. And you know what, I should stop to welcome everybody in, as we welcome in Shelley and Aaron Swade, and we're very appreciative of Aaron coming, because Aaron has a hard time in the night. So Aaron, your efforts are appreciated. Dr. Guy, Shalom Fogel, Shimon Klein, Menachem Yamansky, Yitzi Fuchs, Eddie Chazan, Ruven Pollack, Mel Zachter, Saba, Barry Cement, and Mo Kushner, Ben Zion Cohn, Yaakov Warman, Mark Frankel. Mark, we know it's hard for you also. So good to have you. Really is. And you're out of the dungeon. It's nice. Dov Salkowitz, Rabbi Kranz, Yitzi Muller, Rabbi Keneal, Nachman Chapler, Berish Gesseman, Moshe Lehman, Irving Fishbach. Irving, I didn't see you. I was missing your handsome face, but it's good to see you. Ilya Shutman, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Abe Arbach, Avram Rezepkowitz. Where is Marshall? Mark, what did you do to him? I noticed he shows up when you're not here. Are you getting a complex? Maskvla Rab Zera, Ela de Kaimelon Tomei Shishimes Bemisa. It says that if a Tomei did the Avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, he gets Misa B'nei Shemayim. Now, the Shaila is, you're saying that he gets Misa and not Karas. A Tomei that comes into the Beis Hamikdash gets Karas. So Heichi Avid Avodah. Either Shah, if he spent the time there to bow down, bow Karasu. He gets Karas. So, if we say that there's an amount, so that's easy. It's talking about where to get out of the Beis Hamikdash from where he is would take him 10 minutes. And he rushed, and he got out earlier. He got out in 7 minutes. So he wouldn't be chayiv for being in the Mikdash. Says the Gemara, Mishkachas lo the onis nafshe b'ktzara. He got out in 7 minutes, but he did the Avodah. And therefore he's chayiv misa, but not karas. Ella, says the Gemara, Iyamr dafka gemire. So then, if he's shah kadei ishtachavoya, then he's chayiv even if he went out the short way. So if he's chayiv, if he was shah, if he waited the zman of ishtachavoya, he's chayiv even if he went out the short way. So then, where would you have a case where he's chayiv for doing the avodah and he's not chayiv for being in the mikdash while he is tameh? Amar Abaye, my kusha. What's the problem? He went out, and while he was going out, he took a fork and turned over the meat. So in the process of going out, he did that. Mishkachas lo kigoyin shebo b'ktzara, and on the way out, without breaking stride, and especially not the amount of time to say the pasuk, v'hafech b'tzinura, and he turned over a piece of meat with a fork. Ravuna, Dam Ravuna, zar shahafach b'tzinura, a zar that turns over meat on the mizbeach, chayav misa. So the Gemara says, first of all, let me understand this. Gufa, Am Ravuna, zar shahafach b'tzinura, if you turn over the meat, chayav misa. What's the chiddush? Hechidami. If you didn't turn it onto the fire, it wouldn't roast, it wouldn't be digested, pshita. Then of course that's an avodah. And if you didn't turn it over, it would also get consumed, then my ka'avid, why is that considered an avodah? Says the Gemara, like tzricha, if you didn't turn it over, it would be consumed in 2 hours. And now it's consumed in 1 hour and gives quicker reach nichayach to Hashem. When you make the avodah happen quicker, it's an avodah. Amar Rabbi Ishia. Now Rabbi Ishia says, but ina de ema milsa, I want to say something, but umistafina mechavraya, I'm afraid of my colleagues in the Beis Medrash. Hanichnas l'bayis hamenuga, if one enters a leprous house, derech achurav, walking backwards, va'afilu kulay chutz mechaytmai, even if he enters backwards, his whole body except for his nose is still outside, tahar. Why? And we darshan that you only become tamei if you go in the normal way. Derech bia asretayr. So why was he afraid to tell this to his colleagues? Now, obviously, he was afraid to tell it to his colleagues because then, even if he goes inside entirely backwards, he should also be taught. Why is it only if his nose is outside? Umestafina mechavraya, because I had this tradition that it's only if his nose is still outside. But if you say that it's exeris hakosef, that you have to go in derech bia, ihachi kulei nami, even if his whole body goes in backwards, he should still be tar. So I'm afraid to say it, even though I had this tradition. So Rava says, what's there to be afraid of? If you go in partially, you're tameh because it says haba, one who comes in. If you're inside entirely, you're tameh because you're not because you came in, but you're not any different than the kalim and the bias that we want you to remove before we declare the bias tameh. Amar Rava, kulay lagara mekalim shebabayis. If it's his whole body, it's not any different than utensils in the house. Dichsiv, you should remove everything from the house before you declare it tameh. Now we have this concept. Tanya nami hachi. Gagan halalu, the rooftops of the lishkois in the Azara, the rooftops of the chambers in the temple courtyard, they don't have holiness. Ein oichlin sham kachay kachim. You can't eat menachos, chatois, and ashamois there because you can only eat kachay kachim in the Azara. The ein sheichten sham kachim kalim. Now kachim kalim, the din is shchitasan b'chol mokam ba'Azara. Like a shlamim, a toida, can be shechted anywhere in the Azara, but they can't be shechted on the rooftops because that doesn't have a din of the Azara. V'tomei shenichnas derech gagan leheichel, and the tomei that enters into the temple by way of the rooftops is potter. Why? Shenema ve'lamikdash lo yisavai, to the mikdash you should not enter. Derech bia asr Torah. The Torah asks only in the way of going, and therefore, since it's not normal to be lowered down from the rooftop, you wouldn't be chayiv.
But then we have an answer to one of the takers. We said if he was suspended in the middle, right, then he'd be trembling. He's not going. He's not. It's not derech bia. It should be. What
do you mean? What do you mean? It was derech bia. When he became tamei, it was derech bia.
No, as we're saying, if he walks in not the normal way, right, then
again, over there, Barry got touched by a sheretz, and then he climbed up the post. So when he became tamei, it was the normal way. Now,
And if I climbed up the post and then touched the toad?
no, that would be different. That's not the case that the Gemara is talking about.
Okay, I would technically be potter.
You might be, because you're not even in the mikdash then.
But the pole is attached to the ground, no?
So are the lishkois attached to the ground.
You're right.
Thank you.
Brother's right, as always.
Now, Zui mitzvah asay shebemikdash she'ein chayavin oleh. Now, if you remember, this is talking about where the par helam davar shel tzibur, that if Bezdin makes an erroneous psak and the majority of Klal Yisrael follow it, then they have to bring the par helam davar shel tzibur. However, if Bezdin paskins for the majority of Klal Yisrael that they don't have to go out the short way, they could go out the long way, there would be no par helam davar shel tzibur. Because the only time there's a par helam davar shel tzibur is for a sin of kares that has a chatas kavua, a regular chatas, like about chilul Shabbos, about sleeping with a sister, about chaylev and dam. Here, there's no chatas kavua, it's a carbon oil of a yored. And by carbon oil of a yored, there's no par helam davar shel tzibur. And the same thing is true in an event where Barry is not sure whether he touched a sheretz or if it was a toad or a frog. So normally he would have to bring an ashim tali, right? If you had two pieces of meat in front of you, one chaylev and one kosher, and you ate one of them, you didn't know which one you ate, you bring an ashim tali. Here there's no ashim tali because again an ashim tali is only a bachatas kavua. Here by a carbon oil of a yared there's no ashim tali. So now let's see this inside. Zui mitzvah asay shebemikdash ein chayavim aleh. Heichi ka'amrei. What is it going on? Heichi kai de ka'amr zuhi. Says the Gemara Hasam kai. It's going back in the teaching of Masechtas Horiyos. Ein chayavim al asay v'lo asay shebemikdash. You're not chayiv for an asay or a lois asay in the mikdash. If Bezdin erroneously says that your Klal Yisrael is allowed to enter into the mikdash when they're tamei, which is a lois asay. You're not supposed to go matami the mikdash, or an asay where they tell you to go out the long way. Then there's no parhelim davar shel tzibur. Ve'ein mevi'an ashim toli al asay v'lois asay shebemikdash. If Barry is not sure if he was tamei or not, aval chayovin al asay v'lois asay shebenida. You're chayav for an asay or a lois asay of nida. For example, the Bezdin paskin that a certain zman is not nidus, and it is. Or the asay is where I told you Bezdin said if she says she's a nida, go out immediately. Well, you're not supposed to go out immediately. If you're not sure, there is an ashim tali. Because Anida is a chatas kavua. The Kamar Zui mitzvah asay shebemikdash ein chayavin aleh. The Ezu mitzvah asay shebenida shechayavin aleh. What's a mitzvah asay of nida where Bezdin tells you to do something and you're not supposed to do it, so there is going to be a parhelim davar shel tzibur. If the husband was being mishamish with his wife when she was kosher, and while he's in there, she says, Nitmezi, I became tamei. Upiresh miyad, if he pulls out immediately while his aver is hard, chayiv. Why? Because his exit is pleasurable like his going in. What he's supposed to do, he's supposed to wait until his limb becomes limp and then go out, so he doesn't get hana upon exiting. If Bezdin would paskin that they should go out right away, and it happened to the majority of Klal Yisrael, then they would be chayiv apar helem davar shel tzibur.
It's not really an asay though. They're saying asay.
Right.
It's not a mitzvah asay. It's an avera.
No, what it means a mitzvah asay is they said it was a mitzvah to do it.
That was confusing to me. Okay.
Yeah, they said it's a mitzvah to do it. Get out. Okay. Again, we want to thank you. We know it's a little bit later than usual, so we thank you for accommodating the schedule of Mincha Marav and Svira. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful evening.